Beshem Hashem Naseh V'Natzliach. Welcome to Hayat Torah. Be'ezrat Hashem, tonight we continuing the lessons on Shalom Bayit from Holy Sefer Shuvu Lachem Le'ohalechem. Return to your homes. Written by Harav Eliezer ben David al Shalom. So the topic of tonight is Shnei HaMeorot, the two luminaries. So what is this referring to? As we know, in the Parashat Bereshit, in the Sefer Bereshit, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Almighty Hashem, speaks about the creation. And over there, chapter Aleph, that's the first chapter, Perak Aleph Pasuk, the Pasuk says about this creation of a moon and sun and moon. And it says over there in the Pasuk Tet Zayin, that's 16, Ve'as Elokim et Shnei HaMeorot HaGedolim, that Hashem created the two big luminaries, et HaMaor HaGadol, the big one, the Mamshalat Hayom, that gave light during the day. It was in charge of the day. Ve'et HaMaor HaGaton leMamshalat HaLayla, and the smaller source of light that would give light during the night, right? In our language, moon. Ve'et HaKochavim, and the stars. So talks about the Shnei HaMeorot. So Harav Eliezer ben David compares these Shnei HaMeorot to husband and wife. Right? That's what the Pasuk says. Hashem created the two great luminaries in the sky. And it's interesting to know that in Gemara and Talmud teaches us, in the beginning they were the same size. Sun and moon were the exact same size. And in fact, they had exact same light. Totally identical, like twins. So much so that Midrash talks about this, Midrash Tanchuma, that moon came to Hashem and moon complained. Hashem, how could there be two kings? Right? That we are kings in terms of giving light to the whole universe. And it is not fair that sun should be as big as moon, as me. So Hashem told moon, oh, you came up with this idea, so why don't you become the smaller one? Right? Why don't you come up with the complaint? You be the solution. Right? You need to compromise. You become the smaller one. And not only that, from now on, you are not going to have the same light. Because you're right, you make sense. There should not be two kings. Right? There always needs to be one boss. Or in Farsi they say, if there is two cooks, the soup is going to become either salty or either too sweet, right? No salt or no taste. There needs to be one leader. There needs to be one chef, right? One boss in control of everything. And in terms of giving lights, you complaining, so you can't be the same. You need to be smaller. You need to reflect the light of sun. You're not going to have any light from your own. You will be a reflector. You'll be a reflector. So that's what happened to moon. And our sages teach us that after that, Hashem said, bring a sin offering on the new moon, because I shrank the moon. That one of the Korban Khatat that was offered, right, we can't really relate to this because we don't have Beit HaMikdash, the Abunotenu Arabim, unfortunately, because of our many sins, right? It was the Qurban that was brought on the new moon, when the new moon were identified, and this was because of this very act of moon. That moon said there can't be two same sources of light, and that made him to become the smaller one. So in a way, he was punished. Right? Who are you to come and question the creation? Imagine if moon would have not complained, we were in a different system. Right? The sun and moon were the exact same size. I don't know how it could have been, but Hashem has his own ways to do it. Right? So Adam and Hawa, the first couple, they are compared to sun and moon. Zohar HaKadosh teaches us in Bereshit that after the scene of Es Hadat, after Hawa ate from the forbidden fruit, the fruit of the tree of the knowledge, then Hashem told her, go ahead and cover yourself. Right? Go ahead and curtain yourself, cover yourself. That was when she realized that she was not dressed. That was when she realized there's a whole understanding why before that she didn't realize. Our rabbis teach us, because before that there was no Yitzhagh, there was no meaning into wearing clothing. Right? The physical appearance did not make any difference. There was no, feelings. There was no hirhurim, thoughts. And after they had this Es Hadat that gave them the Yitzhagh, brought them the challenges, the whole thing changed for them. Then all of a sudden she realized, no, it's something different. Right? Oh, I'm not dressed. This whole Yitzhagh came to the picture. And Hashem told her, dress. In a way, it has a deeper meaning. It's not just because you're naked, because you're not dressed, go ahead and cover yourself. So Harav Eliezer ben David Shalom goes on to explain. The sun and moon, they both fulfill their tasks. And they have a partnership, Every husband and wife are partners. Moon is reflecting the sun's light. The husband and wife resemble this partnership. The husband is supposed to be the sun, and the wife is supposed to be the moon. Right? All the light, all the beauty, all the energy that comes, right, it's supposed to come from the husband, from the Torah of a husband, from the leadership of husband, and the moon needs to mirror that, needs to reflect that sun. Moon is not the one who is making the light. She is just a reflection. So think about this. This is a very deep idea. If every woman would think like this, that I am a reflector, with all the respect to the woman, this is what Hashem is teaching us. Zohar HaKadosh is teaching us. If every woman would think like that I am a helper, I don't have light from my own, then there would be always Shalom Bayit. There would always be compromise. Because the role of the woman, as we mentioned before in the classes previously, is to be Ezer, to be the helper. Right? A woman is not supposed to be another leader. Right? Could be a queen, and a woman wife is a queen. Right? but queen follows the directions of king. Queen does not rebel against the king. Queen is the helper. In fact, when I was in Iran, we were forced to study this nonsense history of the previous kings. Sometimes you learn some lessons there. One of the lessons that was clear was that women made a very big difference in the success of the kings or in failure of the kings. Women. And we see in the Usmani kingdom, they were very strong. One, Turkey, Ottoman, back then, even before Ottoman, right? Osmani, right? Turkey, the women back then, really, they were the ones telling the king what to do, what not to do, right? They were so much in power. We see from the story of Purim, Achashverosh and Esther, right? The expert of Megillat Purim is sitting right here, right? So we see from the story over there that Esther America became so influential, and not only Esther America. Before that, by Achashverosh's previous wife, right? What was the name? Vashti. Very good. Vashti, right? She was the one who caused the whole country, not just the country, 127 countries, right, get a new ruling that from now on, right, there needs to be a different relationship between husband and wife, right? She caused it. She caused the whole so-called revolution. One woman, right? So too, women are so much in charge. They are so influential, and Hashem is teaching us that. Right? They are very influential, but they need to have that influence used for the sake of the success of the husband. Right? So we want to stress again, we are not belittling, we are not putting down the mothers, the women, no. They have so much value, but they are supposed to be the receiver, and the husbands are supposed to be the givers. And unfortunately, in today's society, what the Western culture is teaching you is, no, you're not supposed to be giver. They're teaching the man, you need to be the receiver. That's not true. Hashem wants the husbands to be the givers. Right? So let's go on. There is a wonderful Sefer, it's called Tana de Eliyahu, that Eliyahu Navi revealed himself. Eliyahu Navi was the Navi, he became Malach. Right? Eliyahu Navi Zachol Latov. He revealed himself to Rab Anan. Rab Anan was one of the Tanaim, and he taught Rab Anan a lot of secrets of the Torah. Eliyahu Navi would reveal himself to Tzaddikim, to very pious people, and he learns with them Torah. Right? We see that Eliyahu Navi revealed himself to many great Tzaddikim, right? Teaching them the Torah that otherwise they were not able to learn the secrets of the Torah. So Eliyahu Navi came to Rab Anan and taught him Torah. And Rab Anan asked permission, and he wrote all these teachings. And all these teachings are public, are available for you to learn. They are all gathered in the Sefer called Tana de Eliyahu, the teachings of the Eliyahu Navi Zachol Tov. In that Sefer talks about very immense spiritual stature, a woman called Deborah. Deborah was a Neviah.
Navi.
She was a Navi, and she was the wife of Lapidus. Right? Not only that, she was a Navi, she was a prophet, right? She was a judge, right? And she was in the position of being head of Sanhedrin. This was very rare, having a woman like that. Right? Deborah had such a capability, and perhaps back then, for sure, she was very modest and dressed modestly. She was able to have this tricky position of being a leader, judge, in charge of Sanhedrin, and at the same time being a wife.
Wow.
Being a wife. And now he teaches us that Lapidus, her husband, was an ignoramus, an ignorant person who unfortunately wasn't so much educated, who was not in the same status, for sure not higher than Deborah, much less than Deborah. So when Deborah faced Am Israel, she was a judge. Other times when she would come home, she was a wife. And now he teaches us that when she was facing her husband, she was his faithful wife. She used to braid wicks for him to deliver to tabernacle, to Mishkan. Back then they had Mishkan. Right? And she made these wicks very thick, absorbent wicks, so her husband could spend time in the company of the Torah sages. And using the wicks back then, they didn't have the LED lights, all sorts of electricity and all different sources of lights that we have, Baruch Hashem. So she made these wicks for her husband that symbolize two important aspects of understanding. Not just regular understanding. Understanding that was clear cut based on her husband's abilities, right? Her desire was to honor him as the way that he was, right? Honoring him, not expecting him to be what he wasn't, right? Yeah. She understood that for whatever reason Hashem, right, wanted her to get married to Lapidus, and her husband wasn't a big sage. She understood, she accepted that. She did not put him down, right? She did not make a whole big deal. Who are you? You are my husband. You both nothing. And you don't know much. You don't know enough. She didn't say, let's go divorce me. Right? I want to get married to so and so Rab or Chacham in Sanhedrin. Right? She didn't make fun of him, like unfortunately, many wives that these days they do. She did not do any of the above. If anything, she gave him respect, support, understanding. Here you go, my dear husband. These are weeks. Go to tabernacle. Go to Mishkan. Go to rabbis, go to sages, go learn Torah. And these are thick, right? That you could learn more. She then said, go get out of here, go learn Torah. She put it in a way that it was into the weeks, right? Gently, she sent him to Bet Midrash, where he could absorb Torah and Yirat Shamayim, the fear of Hashem. Indirectly, she encouraged him to learn and grow in Torah, as we mentioned. The sages relate that the husband of Deborah had another nickname, and that nickname was Barak. Barak means lightning. Right, lightning. Another was lightning with holiness. Deborah gave him so much value that her husband's face was full of light of value, support, Shalom Bayit. Now this is a big lesson for all the Eshet Chayils out there, that you need to support your husband. If there is any successful husband, that's because there is a successful wife behind supporting him. Right? And this goes on to explain, how do women merit the reward? Right? The woman immensely merit the reward based on husband's success. If the husband is successful in Torah and observing mitzvot, then the wife receives Olam Haba. And then vice versa is true. The opposite is true too. If there is no respect, if there is no support, if the husband is not doing well, if the husband feels terrible about who he is, right, by becoming depressed and not doing well, then the wife is going to go down in the hell with the wife, unfortunately. And there is a wonderful story about this. Right? The Gemara teaches us in Masechet Baba Messiah, that's Daf 84, tells us this famous story of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. You know, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, one time he was swimming in the river, and Resh Lakish, right, future Chavruta, future learning partner of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, right, thought that Rabbi Yochanan was a beautiful lady swimming in the river. And back then, Resh Lakish wasn't a Talmid Chacham. He was the head of the gangs. He was the head of the highway robbers. He was in the robbery business. Very successful business. They would come, they would get people, they would get them, to give everything they had. And back then, people traveled with all their belongings. They didn't have banks like these days. No credit cards, no, Bitcoin, no this coin, that coin, no. No treasures. They had treasures in hidden, but many times they would travel with their belongings, or with big portion of their belongings. And they had bodyguards, they had all sorts of things to protect themselves. But they were very strong robbers. One of them was very well known, Resh Lakish. So he went swimming into the river, going after this seemingly beautiful woman, and all of a sudden he noticed, to his disappointment, that this is not a woman. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. And Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai told him as follows: "You're such a good swimmer. You're doing a wonderful, fantastic job. You know what? Halevai, Eikash, I wish you use these swimming skills that you have, right, in learning Torah. And you know what? Come, let's learn Torah together. And if we learn Torah together, I promise you that I'm going to give you my sister as a wife." Many times brothers and sisters look alike. You liked me? You thought that Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was very handsome, right? There's a different Gemara that tells us Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai would sit by the entrance, by the mikveh, the woman mikveh, that the woman would come out of mikveh and they would see this tzaddik, that their children should become as handsome as a tzaddik as Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. So the question is, how come Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai sat by the mikveh? Right? All these ladies would look at him, and he would not have hirurim, he would not have thoughts, right? Thoughts of Averah Chas v'Shalom? No, says the Gemara, he was not into this. Right? He had Shemirat Einayim. Right? Gemara says that back then, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai's eyebrow were very thick, covering the eyes. Right? He wasn't interested in the beauty of the woman. Right? He was able to control his Harav, something else. So says Harav ben David alav shalom, how could Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai alav shalom do such a thing? This is very risky. You tell a head of robbers, right? Come, learn Torah with me. Use your skills. We become chabruta. We become learning partners. And I let you get married with my sister. What a big risk. You don't put your sister in the hands of a robber, in the hands of a gang leader. How did he do such a risk? How did he take such a risk? Right? Or maybe mistake. Chas v'shalom it wasn't a mistake. So says Harav ben David alav shalom, because he was able to instill encouragement in others. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was able to see to it that Resh Lakish had the ability to change. And he valued him. He supported that change. Right? He saw in his Shoresh Neshama, in his soul, that he had the ability to use that swimming skill in learning Torah. And indeed he was successful. He became successful. Resh Lakish became the learning partner of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, the famous Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. And he got married with Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai's sister. And later on, when the learning partner passed away, the other partner passed away.
Wow.
Out of sadness. Says the Gemara, or chabruta or mituta. Because there was nobody there who could replace that learning partner. That relationship. So this is a wonderful story. This comes to mechazek us, to encourage us to be a supportive figure, to support each other. Stop putting on your marriage partner. Stop belittling your husband or wife. Value your husband, value your wife. Encourage, giving helping hand. And in return, you'll be successful. Baruch Adonai Leolam, Amen v'Amen.
Hazak Baruch.
Baruch. So Be'ezat Hashem.